Welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast with your hosts, the Brothers Newland. Now, let's talk toys.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michael.
I'm John.
And I'm Andrew, and you're listening to Toy Rewind Podcast, just a little place where what?
My light was like really dim. It just brought it back out. I was like, come on.
Oh, I was
sorry.
confused. I didn't notice what was going on. I'm looking at something else. So, okay, again, you're listening to the Toy Rewind Podcast, just a little place where the three of us like to get together and talk about toys from the past, retro toys, all that kind of stuff, that kind of stuff. This week, we are going to zoom around the world quite a few times really fast with Superman. We're going to rewind all the way back to 1972 and talk about the MEGO super heroes. I was trying to figure out what they call it. The world's greatest superheroes released by MEGO. So, yeah. And
the 8-inch line. The 8-inch line. There was a 12-inch. It was a little bit smaller, and then they had bendies and some other figures as well. But we're going to talk about the 8-inch line here.
We're going to talk about the 8-inch. We may jump back in at some other point later in the podcast and talk about the 12-inch. Who knows? You never know. But this week, just the 8-inch line. Talking about that from MEGO. It's going to be a lot of fun. Do want to do a shout out. We are followed by MEGO on social media, so maybe somebody, they'll retweet, they'll see this, they'll do all that stuff whenever we get ready to push this out. So thanks, MEGO, for the follow. Speaking of social media, John, do your thing.
Alrighty. So where to find us, guys? ToyRewindPodcast.com, or you can go over to CrossTheStreamsMedia.com. As always, if you're on Cross the Streams Media, you can leave us a voicemail. You can email us at toyrewindpodcast@gmail.com. Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch is all Toy Rewind Pod. Facebook and YouTube, Toy Rewind Podcast. And of course, if you want to play a little game, you can go to podcastbingo.com/Toy Rewind and play a game. Let us know what you get.
Yep. Be sure you share those if you do play. And follow the social media accounts. So, all right, guys. It was Father's Day. I know it doesn't count for you, Michael, but it was Father's Day, and I got my first NECA figure for Father's Day. He's right there. You can't see him because he's a turtle. He's the Ronin red and black turtle. He's hard to see, but now I want all the NECA things, except I don't want to take them apart because I feel like I'm breaking them. Because you have to have some serious force with them. So it's very interesting. But John, did you do anything good?
I worked.
You worked.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I just wanted to share my NECA turtle because it's really cool. So all right. Well, then let's jump into it. Let's talk about some superheroes because Michael's got like 88 pages of toy or notes. So
Toys.
hopefully this won't take too long. All right. Let's
Let's
rewind. Let's rewind and get into it.
All right, so MEGOs, world famous, or the world's greatest superheroes. I done messed that up myself.
It's
the
not
MEGO
the world famous.
world's greatest superheroes.
It's not the world famous monsters.
Yeah, no.
It's the world's greatest superheroes.
Yeah, greatest superheroes. Yeah. And so, as we talked about in the Action Jackson episode, which was episode number 101, 1971, MEGO stepped up from dime store import toys to the big show in the toy business by creating an 8-inch action figure that consisted of a universal body in which all they had to do was switch out different head sculpts to create different figures. So we did see that in, like I said, the Action Jackson episode we talked about where he had, it was the same body style, but they had 3 different head sculpts. And so they had 3 different Action Jacksons. So, this was a saver, a cost saver for MEGO. So it wouldn't cost as much to do the figures like that. So they were able to make multiple different figures, and it's over different lines, not just Action Jackson or this World Greatest Superheroes. There was other lines that they used to they used this body style in. And so Marty Abrams, who was just appointed the company's president that same year, and was also the founder's son, oversaw this change. Marty saw a different a direct correlation between toys and movies and entertainment, like TV shows and comics and stuff like that. So in 1972, MEGO started to purchase licensing rights to movies, TV shows, and comic books or comic characters. The comics line is what we're talking about today with the world's greatest superheroes. So, like I said, that's the name of it. They had acquired the rights to both DC and Marvel comics and combined both into one line. So you just didn't have a DC line, you didn't have a Marvel line. They just stuck them both in the same line, and that's what they called it. So for the 1972 holiday season, MEGO created head sculpts and new costumes to place on the Action Jackson body, and tested these figures out by selling them through a New York area 5 and dime a chain there. This new line consisted of Superman, Batman, Robin, and Aquaman. So there was 4 figures that they first, and these sold really well. So the next year, the first packaging, so they sold real well. So the first packaging of these was actually just a box with the character's picture on the front of it, with their name, the name of the line, and with Aquaman, Captain America, Tarzan, Robin, Superman, Batman headshots on the little box bottom with the name of the line. So it's similar to what we're seeing now with Hasbro doing their lines now in just a box with no window or anything like that. So you can't really see what's in it. So this is so that's what they were doing then. There was one problem doing it that way, though. The kids would actually open the boxes to see what was in the box, although the picture of the figure was on the front of the box.
Right. They want to see the toy.
Yeah, they wanted to see the toy.
Yeah.
So in 1973, MEGO actually added 3 new heroes to the line, and then more retailers started carrying the line. So they started picking. So the first one sold really well through those 5 and dime stores, and then so they started going more and more into other retailers. So you had Spider-Man, Captain America, and Tarzan. Those were the new figures that were added. And since retailers complained about the kids opening the boxes to see what's inside the packaging, they changed to have a window in the front of the box. Also the introduction of the Kreisig card was in 1973. So we had the boxes with the window in it, so you can see the figures. But something else that they pioneered that we see in every toy line now is the Kreisig card. So Kreisig was a company out there. I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's a department store place, store that instead of having shelves for all their product, they had pegs. So we know that you had to have something different to hang on the pegs. So they came up with this. That's what they were called, the Kreisig. Kreisig. I'm trying to say that right, but anyway. So to make this simple, this company was actually, they had other little department stores called Kmart. So that's where we get to. So Kreisig is the parent company for Kmart, pretty much.
It's the K.
It's the K. They and really in 1977, if I remember right, because Kmart, they started having Kmart stores in 1962. 1977, that whole company just changed their name to Kmart. So Kreisig just kind of went away, and they were, that company started in can't remember, 1860s, I think, 1880s, I think 1860s. So that's how old that company was before they changed to Kmart in 1977 and all the way up through until Sears bought them and they bottomed out. So, and we know the history of Kmart. But anyway, so they made these cards. We know them as blister cards now. That's what they're called now. So, so to going back to the window boxes, there's early window boxes featured Aquaman, Tarzan, Batman, Superman, Robin, and Captain America. In the header, they all had little headshots on the card or on the box with the name of the world's greatest superheroes with them. And then later, boxes removed Captain America and replaced him with Shazam. And then Captain America and Spider-Man then received their own packaging, first featuring themselves and then featuring newer Marvel editions as they added more Marvel figures to them on the side, which featured on the side of the window box. And they kind of made it more line specific then. By the time they got into these, the boxes had Marvel characters or DC characters on them. So they kind of evolved in that during that time. So, so produced mainly for the SS Creasage Company, the early blister cards, like we just talked about, ran from 1973 to 75. True Crescent cards feature the Crescent logo, while cards with the MEGO logo were sold at other stores. There are tons of variations with this card. You had different characters on them as they entered and exited the line. And the logos are a little bit different on different times. So that's one thing with this line starting in 1972 or 70, not started in 1973. This line did last till 1982, and everything through those 9-10 years, there was so many different variations you can find. So that's something that's out there. So you can find 100 different types of between the card variations and the figures. If you got them on the card or in the box, you see all different kind of variations. And with figures also with the clothing and stuff's all different and stuff. So in 1974 saw the addition of the Super Gals line, which included Supergirl, Batgirl, Wonder Woman, and Catwoman. And then the Super Foes line also came out that same year that consisted of Riddler, Mr. Mixes Piddleick, and Joker and Penguin. So those were the Super Foes. And then also was one other figure hero that showed up with the in the main line, that was Shazam. So up to 74, you saw mostly DC characters. And then also you saw the release. There was some other vehicles as well released in this line. So 74 also saw the release of the Batmobile, a Batcopter, a Batcycle, and then also the Batcave playset as well. So 1975, they added more Marvel characters to the line to go along with Captain America and Spider-Man. So you had Hulk, Iron Man, Lizard, Falcon, and Green Goblin added to the line as well. And then another line of this actually came out, another a feature that they came with a couple of them was called the Fist Fighters line. All this was the generic body they had a little button on the back that you can slide side to side, and when it did, the arms would go up and down. So it's a little action feature they had. This actually had this line was released with Batman, Robin, Joker, and Riddler. So you had the Batman theme with those four. Something that happened in other countries with this line that were over in the UK, Palatoy actually released these in the UK under their name, and the 8-inch line, and they added Superman, Spider-Man, Lizard, and Captain America to their Fist Fighter line. So you had either even more fist fighters, different fist fighters than what you see in the U.S. and North America. So there was so 1977. So going with the same line. So 1977 saw several others produced in Mexico under the Lily Letty company. They licensed these figures from MEGO to produce in Mexico. So they included Iron Man, Falcon, Green Arrow, Tarzan, and Joker and Riddler for their line. So there was even more characters added in '77 for this Fist Fighters line that you couldn't find here in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
The only I said Joker, but going through notes and stuff on online and stuff, the Joker has never actually been seen, so we don't really know if Joker's, but the Riddler was on there. So the Fist Fighter line lasted 2 years. And what it was, Marty Abrams was wanting to pick up on the magic of Rock'em Sock'em robots. That's why you slide that thing on the back, and the arms start wailing like they're fist fighting. But it didn't quite reach that potential that he wanted for this line. So it did well, but it just didn't make that potential that he wanted. So the line only lasted for 2 years, from 75 to 77. So going back again to 1976, a couple more new additions to the line. You had Almighty Isis, which was a Shazam character. You had the Fantastic Four was added. So you had Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, the Thing, and Flame On guy. What's his name? Johnny. What's Johnny's name?
Why
did my
Flame?
Human Torch.
The Human Torch.
Yeah, for some reason my mind just went poop. So the Human Torch. So those four, yeah. So those four were added. Thor and Conan the Barbarian were added. 1977, you saw the addition of the Teen Titans, which included Aqualad, Kid Flash, Wonder Girl, and Speedy. Thing about those four were they were 6-inch figures. They were a little bit shorter. And a lot of collectors complained because the Robin doll is 8-inch and he should be included with this, and they should have made a 6-inch of Robin, but they didn't. So that's that. And then 77 also saw, they added those, but they also saw some that got cut out of the line. So Tarzan, Wonder Woman were cut from the line. Also, MEGO switched from the window boxes to all blister cards in 77. So by 1977, the boxes completely went away. 1978, they didn't do anything, no new characters or anything for 78. Because by then, you started seeing, I know we've talked about this in other MEGO episodes, the decline of MEGO. We all know what happened in 1977 with Star Wars coming out, the 3 3/4-inch line, and everybody was gravitating to that size, and MEGO couldn't really keep up, although they had the Star Trek, the motion picture figures. Yeah. They had the Dukes of Hazzard figures. They had some other 3 3/4-inch lines. Some of these, even this Greatest Heroes, World's Greatest Heroes line had a 3 3/4-inch top size line as well. But none of it was there enough to keep MEGO going. So we started seeing the decline in this, where they started trying to save money, and it just wasn't working. So 1978, nothing, but the card art did changes. The the card art had little bubbles with the faces. They still had the little head pictures of the heroes on there. And before 78, the cards had these little the faces had like little scowls. They weren't really happy looking. So 78, they changed that card art, and all the faces on the figure for the figures or for the characters were all smiling. Then they put smiles on them. So it's kind of okay. Whatever you think, they're mad now. They're all happy go lucky. So, like I said, 1979, the line started to fade and more figures were cut. You saw Mix's Pitalik was cut. All the Fantastic Four line guys were cut. Conan the Barbarian was cut. Thor, Aquaman, Lizard, Green Goblin, Falcon, Supergirl, and even midway through the year, Isis was cut as well. So there was a lot of cuts in 1979. So 1980 also saw the loss of the Riddler, Batgirl, and Catwoman. Like I said just a few minutes ago, by this time, MEGO had slumped into financial trouble. They actually closed down in 1982 and filed for bankruptcy in 1983, and that was about it. That was it for MEGO. So many of the throughout the line, throughout the years from 1973 to 1982, there was a lot of different variations between costumes and head sculpts. By the end of the 1982, they started shipping out extra figures to discount stores, to companies that would discount them and just sell the extra stock, stuff like that. A lot of the leftover stock they had were just kind of Frankenstein together. There was certain figures that were kind of mixed up. There was I saw where Aquaman on there was showing up with Batman gloves. There was also one that had glow in the dark hands from it was one of the Monsters lines where it may have been, I don't know if it's Count Dracula or one of them had glow in the dark features. So some of these glow in the dark hands ended up on an Aquaman figure and other figures as well. So that was the thing about this body style that they had, was that you can interchange the hands and this head and probably the feet or whatever if you got different kind of feet, but the pieces were, the body style itself was the same. So you saw different kinds of things start showing up at the end of this by 81 and 82 when MEGO started clearing some out, sending them to discount companies and trying to get the stock out of there, the extra stock that they had. So it was just getting all kinds of that's where a bunch of the variations come from as well, and some of them are even one-of-one type things, So, so real quick, some other notes that I have on just the individual figures themselves. We could talk about. So, you had Aquaman. Andrew, if you want to shoot a picture up there of the figure. I do want.
And I just, before we get into this, thanks to MEGO Museum for having all of these images and all this information that we were able to pull from. So,
yeah, I got a lot of my information is from MEGO Museum. They also helped us out when we did Action Jackson and the Star Trek motion picture stuff as well. I got some information from them as well. But if you ever get a chance to go to the MEGOmuseum.com, they have so much information on every line that MEGO put out. It's crazy. It's just dedicated to that. The guy that does this also has a YouTube channel as well that he talks about different MEGO figures and stuff. So, one other thing I didn't mention earlier, and I think we did mention it in the Action Jackson's episode. Was there's or it may have been one of the creatures line as well. We talked about this body style they had. There was actually 2 different versions of this body style, and the second one came out. It had a little bit more articulation and stuff like that. So some of these have body type 1 and body type 2, and then a lot of these later ones were only on body type 2. There was just a little bit extra articulation and the way that the body was actually put together to hide some of the joints and stuff. So it's kind of an evolution of the action figure, you know, as it's gone through. Now you see what you have now from all these other big companies like NECA and the Super 7 and stuff like that. All those kind of stuff, Hasbro and all them. So, and a lot of this stuff that they put into these figures, the packaging, you know, like I said, the very first of the blister cards that hang on the pegs, all this stuff came from MEGO. So they revolutionized they brought out a lot of stuff that came out, and other companies picked up on it and made them even better and better, and until what you see now. So MEGO was the the godfather of some of this stuff that we see nowadays that we don't even think about. So we'll go down each character real quick and kind of have a little talk about them. So we have Aquaman here. So a little bit info I have on him, and there's a lot more variations and how their suits are put together and the gloves and stuff like that, different variations they have listed on the MEGOmuseum.com. So you can always go there and get all this information. But I scribbled down a few notes here and there on each one. So on most of them, there's some of them I don't, but so Aquaman, he also came in a playset called Aquaman versus the Great White Shark. So he was packaged with this big white shark, and it was pretty good size, and he was in it on that. So another thing about the packaging is there's most of the packaging, the way the packaging looked, a lot of that came straight from other comic books, or other media that was real famous at the time. They just brought this over. One thing about Aquaman is he's in a running pose on his box. So they kind of think they kind of just traced over the Flash picture. And although there's not a Flash in this set, but there's a Flash picture that looks almost exactly like Aquaman's pose on his card. So on the card art, that's what I was trying to think. The card art. So
it's interesting. I was reading just about that, about how they did that because the diving or the swimming Aquaman wouldn't fit.
Yeah, and that's the logo they use. The swimming one where he's diving in the water or whatever is what they used on the comic book, and then other memorabilia throughout the 70s, 60s, and 70s. So they had to get something that would actually fit perfect on the card. So they put them in a running pose.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll skip on over. Next one, Batgirl is the next one. A little fact about Batgirl: she has a removable cowl, but her face mask is painted on. She has a purse that is part of a belt that's often missing off the belt. And then because it's part of the belt, but it's easy to snap off and you lose it. The first release had painted on boots on her suit. And then the later release had actual boots that you would slide on her feet. They think they had the painted on features, which the belts and the Batgirl logo and all that kind of stuff was painted on at first because they wanted to rush these out for the holidays that year. And they didn't have time to wait for the manufacturer to produce the the belt and the boots and stuff for her. So they said, "Well, just paint them on the suit real quick, and we'll put them out." So, but
this makes her look like she has a huge forehead.
yeah, the cowl that pops on and off is really big, but you have to fit the hair under there too. So it makes it look really her top of her head really tall. It's like it's crazy looking. Okay, so let's get to Batman.
Let's get to Batman.
One thing about Batman, he was released in every release and format for this series. He was his first release had a removable cowl like Batgirl's, and then the later versions of him, the cowl was actually part of the head sculpt, so it wouldn't come off. So, and there were so many, and like I said, throughout the run of this line, you had MEGO change different factories, and since he was one of the very few that was in every release of this every year, when they changed factories, it was something was a little bit different. So you had different variations between the Bat logo and his cowl, and like I said, he started with a removable one, and then they made it molded into his head. There's just endless amount of different variations. One thing about this first release or two, they had gloves, but they looked more like oven mitts that you would slide over. So they look like oven mitts that go up to their elbows. So yeah, it is kind of funny looking. And if you look at the evolution of this line, you can tell by the time they started moving in more Marvel characters, the Marvel characters look more up to date. They don't look as cheesy as the first few releases of this line because they had more time to mold to figure out how to make things look a little better. Yeah.
This shot here of Batman's oven mitt punching Joker is the best.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's one of the fist fighting ones there.
Yeah.
So next is Catwoman. I don't really have any notes on her, other than her suit is more of the pirate style suit that she used for a very short time in the comic books. Yeah. She's got it's also got a tail sewn into the back of the suit. So yeah, it's
I like this. I like this line that they have on the site. MEGO Catwoman's hairdo seems to vary widely from short and sassy to curly flippy.
Yeah.
Those are two broad. That's a broad spectrum there.
Yeah. So,
and those are technical terms.
That's what it says. Yeah. All right, let's move on to Green Arrow. We'll talk about Green Arrow real quick. Green Arrow was
the bearded Green Arrow.
Yeah, he was one of the last DC characters added to the line. So he looks more refined than your other guys. Thing about Green Arrow is his head sculpt is a retooled Long John Silver from the Super Pirate series, where they just added a mask to it and they added a mustache and a beard to the head sculpt. But other than that, it's the exact same head sculpt as Long John Silver. So again, it goes back to MEGO utilizing parts across different lines to save money.
Yeah.
So okay. He also comes with either a green vest or a yellow vest as well. It goes back to the different variations of different factories making different figures, making the same figure. So
I will say this is my favorite Green Arrow variation or version. Like the Robin Hood Green Arrow type character.
Right. Yeah. So next we got Isis. She's not very many people really know about Isis, but she is a figure from the Shazam comic line.
This is not the ISIS terrorist group.
No.
Just want to throw that out there.
So Isis, yeah. So again, sharing things between figures. So Isis, her head sculpt is a reused Wonder Woman head sculpt head sculpt originally, and she was originally a Montgomery Ward's exclusive. So she was only at first she was only found in Montgomery Ward's. So the MEGO artwork for this was not used, but rather they had shots of Joanna Cameron, who was the actress who played her in the on the Saturday morning Shazam TV show. So they had drawings and stuff made up to put on here, artwork to put on these cards, and they scratched all that and went with just photos of Joanne Cameron.
Okay, so
Wow.
so not only does Isis have a rather large forehead, she also has an Isis necklace that is very much like.
Well, that picture you're looking at is a picture from the MEGO catalog, and they were afraid that nobody would know who she was, so they just put this thing on her in the catalog. So that's the only time you see
this
that.
This is not something she actually has. Okay.
No, it was just something they thought they would do because nobody would know who she was.
She's not like Flavor Flav's favorite character.
No, it looks like one of those big old clocks, like Flavor Flav. Yeah. All right, so let's go back. Let's go on to Joker. So Joker was the only villain to get his own vehicle for the line. It was a repainted Bat Lab van. It's called the Joker Mobile. And I did find the Joker Mobile and the Bat Lab van last year when we went to Canton.
Oh yeah, you did.
And I sent pictures that had that up on social media. I'll see if I can find those pictures and repost those.
Yeah, here's a picture of the Joker Mobile.
But cool thing about that is it's also another reused part from another line. So if you remember, we talked about this in Action Jackson. It's the Camp Mobile from Action Jackson. It's the VW van, VW bus, and the side doors open, the back doors open. There's a little hatch on the roof that your figure can stand out on. So it's just a repurposed Camp Mobile from Action Jackson. And Batman also had his version as well, called the Bat Lab. I guess it's got little computer lab stuff in there for the Batman, him figuring out crime. Yeah, the Bat computer and stuff. Yeah. So, all right. So next we have
Mitsapodiak, or whatever his name is.
Mix's Piddleick. Mix. Now you got me saying it wrong.
You said pickle.
Mix's Piddleick. So
Mix's Piddleick. Yeah.
Mix's Piddleick. That's the easiest way to say it.
John, you look confused, John.
Yeah. No.
Mix's Piddleick is the easy way to say it. There's some other variations of how you say it, but that's the easiest way to say it. So that's what we're going with. So a curious thing about him is he has two different head sculpts. So the original one has him smirking, kind of a smile. Well, DC did not like that, and they let MEGO know. So MEGO changed the head sculpt to get rid of the smirk. He's more got like a kind of an open mouth type look to his face, and his eyes kind of changed a little bit too. So, but DC wasn't happy with the way he looked, so they changed it on him. So, next in the line is Penguin. I don't really have anything special about him. You know, he comes with his coat, his tuxedo coat with tails, and his hat. And his shirt is actually the bow tie and the buttons are actually drawn onto the shirt.
Is his shirt stuffed? Because obviously it's a little bit different. Sculpt.
You know, I hadn't seen that body sculpt. So I don't know if they added something to the belly to make him look a little chunkier. But he looks funny because he's got the big belly, but he's got skinny legs. So
yeah,
he looks more like an ostrich than a penguin, I guess.
Than a penguin, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's Penguin. Next guy is the Riddler. I don't have anything special about him written down. Just
This
that.
is the jumpsuit Riddler version where he's
Yeah.
wearing the green jumpsuit with question marks all over it, not the like business suit Joker.
Yeah,
So-
and now they put he's got purple hand sculpts for his hands instead of giving him the gloves. He's got purple hands. Yeah. So
I want a onesie like this. Mom, can you make me a onesie, a Riddler onesie?
say that she's going to do that now.
Christmas is only a few months away. Don't think about that, but yeah.
Put little bunny rabbit ears on
them. Why would I need bunny rabbit ears? Come on. All right, let's go to Robin.
Okay, Robin's next. So the first version of Robin had a removable mask, but since the mask, it looked kind of funny on him. But if since it was so easily broken or lost, they later on they painted a mask on him. So, and instead of molding a mask to make it look like it's a mask, they just painted it over his eyes.
It looks like he's a kid ready to go out and play and do something with these gloves on.
Yeah, again, he's got the and what's funny about this line is the figures they had at the beginning of the line have these big oven mitt gloves, and then as they moved along, the other figures that had gloves, they had gloves that looked kind of real. They never fixed the gloves on these guys, and the whole time they were in this line, they had the oven mitt gloves and Robin and Batman and Superman were the first ones from the first release to make it all the way to 1982 without being cut, and they kept those oven glove mitts all the way through the whole thing. So, but yeah, you would figure they would update that when they updated other things, but they didn't. So, next we have Shazam. So not really much I have on him on there. So he just looks like Shazam with the red suit, the yellow bolt of lightning, the cape, and that's about it with him. So
nothing big there.
No, and other than their normal variations and stuff like that. So Supergirl is next. What's interesting about Supergirl, she had the Supergirl suit that they used during the 1970s with this, so she didn't look like it looked a lot different than what Superman looked, with his suit, stuff like that. So, what's interesting? An interesting bit about this is the French release, which was from a company called Pin in France. They're the ones that released these in France. Supergirl's belt was a yellow version of MEGO's Dynamite belt. So the buckle is actually a peace sign that they put on there. Instead of using a normal belt from the U.S. release or whatever, they used Dynamite's belt, which was with the peace sign. And then in the Lily Letty version of her from the Mexican line, is the only version of her that has boots. All the other lines just have little shoes, little slippers.
This picture of the Lily Letty Mexico version, man. It has a piece of plastic over her face.
All the Lily Letty versions of these figures are funky looking. They don't look right. So
chicas.
Yeah. So, and some of the names, we had the Spanish names with them. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go with Superman next. So he was the very first figure ever produced was Superman. He was produced. He was the first prototype they built and started using that for the advertising and everything for this line while they produced the others. So he was also part of the line from every release from the beginning to the end, along with Batman and Robin. The Superman was the only one that was unchanged from start to finish, other than a few variations from when they switched from one factory to the next. But other than that, he was the same figure from start to finish. All right, so Tarzan is next. So thing about Tarzan is he was the first figure added that was not DC or Marvel at the time. When asked why, former MEGO VP Neil Kublin said because it was his favorite character and he wanted him part of the line. So, and that was the reason why.
When you're the CEO or you're running a company, you get those choices.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to. DC did, however, pick up the character for the comic run shortly after MEGO said it, and then Marvel picked him up in 1977 and did a comic run for him. Tarzan's knife is also commonly found on the Action Jackson secret agent outfit as well. So it's another piece that was used in multiple lines. Excuse me. One other thing about Tarzan is he's got this bodysuit on that's flesh colored, and then he's got his jungle looking thing over his shoulder.
He's a modest Tarzan.
Yeah. So
In a jumpsuit.
yeah. So that's what it is. And it's probably because he's on that Type 1 body where you can see the extra joints and stuff. So they use that to cover it up. So so next we have the Teen Titans. I did say these were 6-inch earlier. I think they're actually 7-inch. I don't know why I said 6, but 7-inch. These are the only DC characters to get actual molded gloves. They didn't have the oven mitt looking gloves. They had molded gloves. So the Teen Titans included Speedy, who he actually carries the same bow and arrow and quivers as the Robin Hood MEGO line. We had Kid Flash, Wonder Girl, who doesn't have any articulation in her arms, and then Aqualad, and his belt buckle is actually just a sticker on Aqualad. So with these being a 6-inch, the body style is different than the 8-inch guys.
Yeah.
So. All right, so that was all the DC guys. Now we'll get into the.
Hey!
I missed Wonder Woman, didn't I?
Yep.
Let's go to Wonder Woman. So, Wonder Woman is actually, she was the little tidbit I had is she was cut from the line in 1976 and replaced with Isis. The reason why they did that was because MEGO wanted to market Wonder Woman as a 12-inch fashion doll to correspond with the Linda Carter TV series. So that's why it took them out of this and just was pushing the Wonder Woman 12-inch doll for.
That makes sense.
As a fashion doll, yeah. So,
the painting on that.
Her suit's weird.
Yeah, it's not like it's just a whole bodysuit where her Wonder Woman suit is painted over the flesh bodysuit. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then her bracelets, she's got blue bracelets, but it's just the sleeves of her bodysuit. So, yeah, it does look weird.
All right, now to the Marvel.
Go to Marvel guys. So, Captain America. What's the little tidbit about Captain America is his shield is just a black shield, and it has the red and white and blue circle with the white star on it sticker on top of the black shield. So that's really all that is. Instead of molding that into red, white, and blue, they just put slapped a sticker on top of it on a black shield. So that's that.
Okay.
So Conan, we have Conan the Barbarian next. This one here is loaded with a bunch of accessories, unlike most of the others that just had maybe a hat or gloves or bow and arrow and just one or two things here and there. This guy actually had golden bracelets. He had boots. He had a belt with a sheath in it for his sword. He had a sword. He had a battle axe. And then he had a gold belt also. So he had two different belts. You had one that held his sword, and you just had just one that kind of like a WWE wrestling belt around him. Something else about this guy is he has a very angry looking face on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something different with him is, unlike Tarzan, he has just his body mold. He doesn't have that leotard on him to cover his body up. So,
That's
and I think, and that's because this is on the other body style where you don't see all the hinges and stuff on in the articulation. So, all right. So next we have Falcon. So many of the figures of Falcon had Planet of the Apes hands. He also had normal hands as well, but like I said, many of the figures you find, the hands are from Planet of the Apes. MEGO and his comic character, and even on the artwork and stuff, he has white gloves. Well, they never made white gloves for him for the figure, so that's something else he doesn't have. And he's not too bad of a character. He does have a few variations where he looks his eyes look kind of wild on that one we're looking there.
This Lily Letty one.
Oh, that's the Lily Letty one. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay, now
wow.
I see. Yeah, see, his other ones look more a comic character like.
And this is the original Falcon where he's wearing the jumpsuit, which this is my favorite Falcon too.
Yeah, it's not the new Falcon here. Yeah.
Green Goblin.
So Green Goblin, I don't have any extra notes written down for him, but he's the Green Goblin, and he looks he's a good sculpt of the Green Goblin.
That is a good sculpt. I like that. Yeah. That face is very well done.
Yeah.
Looks just like. Yeah, that's wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So next we have Hulk. Now, this one is actually just under 8 inches because they had to come up with new kind of legs for this guy. He's got short, squat legs on this body type. MEGO developed him and the Thing have the same bodies, and this one is because they had to do a separate sculpt for these guys. They're a little bit shorter than your normal figure, so.
I like this Hulk. The fact that he's just got his shorts on. Other than that, he's green. There's no bodysuit here. I really like that. I think they did a really good job at this.
Yeah, the body's molded in that green plastic. Yeah, it just makes them look so different. So next we have Human Torch, and they did good on this one because they just didn't want to put him in a Fantastic Four suit and he'll look like Mr. Fantastic. So what they did was they made him look like he's in that fire on mode all the time. Flame on, not fire. Flame on mode.
Flame on.
So his head sculpt, and he's got yellow flames on that's sculpted into his head. His body is a red, molded in red plastic. But he's got a jumpsuit on with with dark red and yellow flames looking on it. So it looks like he's on fire all the time on that. So
I feel like if they did this now, they could do a better job at this flame design. But I see with it like that. I get it, but yeah, it looks like like diamonds or something just on a red suit, black and yellow diamonds.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So,
all right. Next, we have Invisible Girl.
Invisible. They should just give you an invisible thing.
Yeah, she doesn't go invisible on us. She has
that hair though.
She has a more refined head sculpt than the earlier Super Gals, the DC girls.
Very much.
She's got more realistic facial features than the others do. So they did a lot better. Like I said, as they go along through the years, these sculpts
they get better,
and everything gets better and better. So, so after that is Iron Man. So what's funny about this is some people were complaining at first because he has a nose. Iron Man has a nose, but there was a time in the comic books where he did have a nose for a short period of time. So he kind of fit in. It was kind of more fit in with that. So,
I mean, he does look kind of funny, but I get it. Like
his face looks, instead of having a metal look face, it looks like he has like more of a realistic face to it.
yeah,
Yeah. So, also his chest piece is actually just a button sewed onto his suit with a yellow sticker in the middle to cover the buttonholes. So yeah, so that's what his is. So,
Wow.
all right. So now we're going to go to Lizard. So Lizard has his suit is just made. It has a tail on it, and then he's got different sculpts for arm. They changed his forearms at one time where he has more of a scaly skin from a more of a straight flat skin on his arms. He's got a lab coat as well that comes with it.
Is the tail attached to his sculpt or his coat?
It's attached to his suit that the lab coat covers.
Okay.
Yeah, whereas
So the
his
pants and
his shirt,
the black shirt.
yeah, that's where that tail is connected to that. So, yeah. Also, one other thing with this is the head sculpt was later used for the Star Trek series, the Gorn figure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, so now we go to Mr. Fantastic. One thing that they did with advertising with him was they said he has the power of invisibility instead of stretchy because they were afraid kids were going to start pulling him apart. So in the advertising they said he had the power of invisibility. But the card art has him stretching across the card. So.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Like he's supposed to be doing. So, yeah. So, all right. So, next is Spider-Man. Spider-Man, of course, out of all these guys, he's the number one seller of the whole line. Of course, he is. And he was the only Marvel figure that was produced for every release from 73 to 82 as well. So no other Marvel character had that. He does have a early design of his suit where it's more of a circle web around the spider. Marvel did not like that, so they went back to just the straight line web with the spider on top of it. So.
Also looks like his suit has like aeration for armpits.
That's for the fist fighting one. So you had more room with the arms when the arms slung side to side.
Yeah.
And I think that was the Pin French release. I think had that, or whichever one he was released in, not in the U.S.
Yeah, these are very interesting spiders that they have on there.
Yeah. He's got different his spider, the web design on his suit and the spiders had different variations. So, so next we have the Thing. Like I said, he has the same body as the Hulk, but he's got more of a body suit on that makes it look like he's got with the Rock type design, the black and orange.
I get that.
Yeah,
that makes sense. But I wish that he would have just been Rock, right?
Yeah.
Like the way his head is done. I know it costs more money to do but still.
Yeah.
The bodysuit looks dumb to me.
Yeah, a lot. And some of these figures are like that. Nowadays they can mold that into the plastic and stuff. Back then they didn't have that technology to do that, I guess, and so they didn't do it. So, and like I said, MEGO's saving money on this as well. They're not going out spending a lot of money for these figures. So, something about the Thing is his forearms are unique to him as well. So, and that was the only one that you saw. Yeah. So next is Thor. He is one of 6 figures that were only produced with the Type 2 body style. I told you there was different body style. There's a Type 1 and Type 2. So this is the only one that had a Type 2 body style. The others, Conan, and then the 4 Fantastic Four figures had the Type 2 body style only.
That hair, though.
Yeah, his hair and the look on his face is his face sculpt is just weird. So
He's just mad.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the last of the Marvel, and there was one more little sideline that went in with this, along with the gals and the villains and the main line here. There was a secret identity line as well. So you had four figures in the secret identity. You had Bruce Wayne, and he's got a suit on that kind of matches his Batman colors. It's gray with had a blue tie.
That doesn't fit at all.
No, this looks a little too large for him. Then you had Dick Grayson, and he's got this outdated look suit, with a turtleneck and little jacket that goes over it, and bell bottoms looks like. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Then you have Clark Kent. So he's got glasses and a hat, and he's got a little suit on that he would wear to Daily Planet. And again, he's color coordinated. He's got a blue suit and a red tie to go to kind of match his Superman uniform as well. So he had Clark Kent. His head sculpt was also used as Dynamite's boyfriend, Dawn, in the Dynamite line. So again, another head sculpt shared. Some people think his hat looks like the cowboy hat from the cowboy line, but it's actually different than that as well. So last we have is Peter Parker. He shares a head sculpt with Shazam, just different color eyes. So that's the only different. And his outfit is a different color than it's the same outfit as one of the Action Jackson figures, but it's I think it's a different color. I think it's what it is.
And it's red and blue. So
it's red and blue matches color coordinates. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, wouldn't Peter Parker be, out of the four of these, the poorest of them, yet his clothes fit better than anybody else's?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
like get a tailor. So shout out to Aunt May for helping Peter get clothes that fit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, there are a few vehicles. I know we already mentioned some of them, and there were some play sets. So some of the vehicles, you had the Batmobile, the Batcycle. You had a Spider car for Spider-Man, a Americar for Captain America, which had a shield that popped up to bump into your bad guys. Green Arrow car. Green Arrow had a car as well, which shot out from the nose of the car to a little arrow type thing. You had the Bat Lab, which was the van, and the Joker Mobile, which was a different color of the van from the Action Jackson Camp Mobile. There were some play sets. You had the Bat Cave play set. You had a Wayne Foundation play set, which was pretty big. It looked like a big it had multiple levels, being 8-inch stalls, they were pretty good sized levels. And there was three stories for that Wayne Foundation playset.
I think it's 4.
Is it 4? Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. And then there's the Hall of Justice playset. And then they had a carrying case that you can carry your figures in as well. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
All the good stuff.
So that's that. There was some other unreleased type stuff that came out, but we will go over that in another episode probably. So.
Yeah. We do need to rank these. What do you guys think about your rankings on these guys?
Pretty cool.
Mine's going to go number 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Michael comes out swinging.
Yeah.
John?
I'm going to go with, let's put it at 5.
Number 5. What are you pushing down, John? Extreme Dinosaurs, Sectars?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'm going number 8 for mine, actually. These guys are pretty cool. Some of them are dumb looking, but it was the 70s, so I don't judge them for that. Just better fitting clothes. And don't make Batgirls cranium
cowl.
look like it's
Our cowl looks
4
huge.
sizes too big. But I do like these. I would like to grab me a Batman just to be like, hey, something like that to have in my collection.
Yeah, one story. The reason why I like these so much, I don't know if you guys remember, but Granddad had the Superman Mego, and he always had it sitting up around on a shelf in that little. He had a little patio that had he had walled kind of enclosed, where we always sat out and could see the back across the back 40 there.
Right.
He always had he always had it sitting around on one of the shelves there, and that's what I remember from this line is he always had that. And that's kind of why Superman's my favorite action figure anyway, or superhero. So that's where I got some of my love for Superman. But I just remember that always sitting up there, and I don't know what even happened to it later on, but it's something that I remember from my childhood. It was always sitting in that room up on a shelf somewhere, and I'd get it down and come play with it a little bit, and we'd put it right back. So it's that's what I remember about that, and it's really cool. Yeah, I like to get a hold of one day and just and add it to my collection. So yeah.
They don't have any Beetlejuice, John, so we'll have to figure out what to get you. But I do like these. I think they're cool. Just, I got a few things that I remember a little bit more. I like the fact that you have that story. Like, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I didn't think you guys remembered it as much as I do. Yeah.
I was a little younger, so just slightly. So this is I like this line. It's a cool line. This might be my favorite MEGO line that we've talked about.
Right.
I know they've done a lot of stuff. They did the Dukes of Hazzard stuff we talked about, which had a cool car, but like it was very cheaply done. But that was their last thing right before they basically shut.
Yeah, that was their last hurrah that they tried to. Yeah.
Oh, here's pictures of the Batmobile. So yeah, this is a nice. It's a cool little piece. Like, I don't know.
That's what you need to find to add to yours, Andrew.
Yeah.
And I again, that's one of those. I did see one of those at Canton too. That we went to that trades day. I did see one of those a while back as well. So
yeah. So this a great line. If you're still listening, please go over, check out our social medias. John listed them all at the top of the show. We'd love to have you follow us. And just share what you've got. We try to share stuff there as we can. Also information about the top 100 stuff should be coming in the next month or so. And I think we got a couple episodes before, but we have a special guest coming on to join us in a few weeks. So more information about that as we get closer. But yeah, MEGO. I'm sad they kind of got shut down when they did, because I think they were doing some cool stuff.
They just didn't. Yeah, they just didn't get, as much as all the new stuff they brought out in the 70s. They just couldn't keep up with the trends going into the 80s to keep them going. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also they passed up Star Wars, so they didn't.
Right.
They missed on that. I think they originally were supposed to get that, and something happened to where they either didn't go to the meeting, or I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look that up and relay that. But I think they actually might have passed up because they had other lines that they did, like Planet of the Apes and stuff like that didn't do as well. And they thought maybe this was another B-type movie that come out to, and they didn't want to go through that again. So I think they passed up on it, and Kenner ended up with it. So, and then the rest was history after that.
Yeah. Well, with that, hopefully you got a lot of information. We talked to a lot of these guys. We showed some pictures. So hopefully you got a lot of information on there. Like I said, be sure you follow the social media accounts, and
again, check out MEGOmuseum.com too for the stuff we just went over.
Yeah, because
great site,
lots of information, lots of good pictures. So be sure to check those out. And on behalf of the Brothers Newland at the Toy Rewind podcast, play on.
You've been listening to the Toy Rewind podcast. Follow and join in the conversations at toyrewindpodcast.com.